It's okay.
Nah, tell me what you're telling me. This is started. Yeah. What are you telling me, fam?
Yo,
What are you telling me, bro?
yo, Mello, what were you saying before?
The man said he has something to tell us.
Are we starting or what?
Yeah, we started, bro.
Nah, come on. You can't start like this.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
can.
you can. Talk. Trust me.
Tell your stuff.
It's
He's
gonna be
scared.
good.
He's
It's gonna be
scared.
good. Watch. It's gonna be good.
We're actually live right we're shooting right now?
Yeah, bro.
Yeah.
It's gonna be good. Yo, Mello, what were you telling us?
Just like Desi was telling us. Alright, think about it. It's like you when you came to church, you had to break up with your girlfriend, right? You had to break up with your girlfriend because you didn't want to prolong your relationship until your time is serious. You came into church and said, "Yo, you know, in order for us to make it in our Christianity,
Yeah.
there's gonna have to be some separation where we don't stay together this long, dating for like 2-3 years, and then
Yeah.
all these feelings are involved in 2-3 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Why we in courtship for 2-3 years,
Right.
or dating or whatever you want to call it for 2-3 years?
Mm-hmm.
Desi did the same. Now he's officially courting. You know, Kishane did the same thing, where he came to church. He's like, you know what? Like, he was upset at first. He wanted to find a Mika and just, you know, looking for Mika. Who's this girl? And Mika telling us to separate. What do you mean separate? Because some guys don't really understand it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where some guys, you know, they don't have the same situation as Desi or Kishane, where they come to church as boyfriend and girlfriend. You know, some guys awaken love early, like, oh, they see a girl that they like, and they just home in on that girl, and they're just like blah blah blah, talking to her, when they have no official structure
Right.
to get married. No, they have the reason to get married, because they want to have sex, they want to get with this girl. You know what I mean? They want to do all of these things, but they don't have their step one covered. They don't have the financial ready. They're not spiritually ready, being spiritually mature. You know, they just come to church, or they could be coming to church, but they're just in a funky state. They just see a pretty girl they like, and they just keep talking, where it ends up as pre-courtship.
Right.
Where in the church setting, that's a no-no. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The Bible says, don't awaken love. The Bible has one advice for lust. It's to flee it.
Yeah.
Flee youthful lust until you're ready. You know what I mean?
Right.
Where some guys, they just want to continue to do the same thing. Talk.
So I have a question for you then. What's the criteria then? Like, what does a guy have to do, or what should a guy have done before they start talking to a girl?
Honestly, I was gonna ask that same question. Like what do they have to have in place before they start, talking to someone?
Before they start talking to them, they have to have a job.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of guys don't have jobs.
Yeah, that's big.
You know what I mean? Especially we have a lot of young kids in our church. A lot of young teenagers. They're still in high school. You know what I mean? They're already crushing on girls. They're already saying, oh, this one is mine. They're already fighting over girls. They're like, yeah, this one is mine right here. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Friendships are breaking up because, you know, they like this girl and that guy doesn't want to be with that girl.
Friendships are breaking up.
Friendships are breaking up. You know what I mean? Bro, you guys can be shy about the thing, but this is the reality. If you want to really make it in Christianity, lust is a dangerous thing. Lust is a dangerous thing. This is why you must have these things set. You have to be spiritually mature. You have to be able to lead a household effectively. You know what I mean? A man that's ready to lead a household, you know. And you have to be financially stable, because we live in Canada where your monthly rent for a one bedroom is $1,800. And we live in where we are. You know, if you can't afford to pay $1,800 for rent while covering other expenses, you know, there's no sense of even talking to a female.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even though when you two combine, the income is greater, you know? But as a single man and woman, there's no reason why you guys should be talking, texting late nights if you guys are not ready to do nothing. You know, before, like, say you guys are texting for like 6 months.
Yeah.
That guy has no intention to do nothing.
Yeah.
What's the point of entering into these stages?
I agree with you, though. I agree with you. It's, you know what though? I think a lot of people might disagree with the angle that we take this, because they might feel that, you know, we're making up rules, or we're telling them how to live, and we can't really point to anything that can validate, you know, our reasoning, or validate why we're telling them to do what we're telling them to do. But I mean, what I was saying, it works, right? What you're saying, right? It works. It's the best thing to do, right? it just makes sense. Why, like you said, why put yourself in a situation where you're talking to an individual, you're stringing them along, you're bringing them along, and you guys are not ready to get married. That only leads to one thing,
Yeah.
right? Emotional damage, right? Sexual damage. Did I say one thing? It leads to many things.
Many things.
Emotional damage, sexual damage. It
Yeah.
just takes you, on a whirlpool of problems and hurt. Right now, let's be fair. Right, there have been people who have done that. Right, and it's and you know what this is what people turn to and they look at,
Yeah.
right. There have been people that have done that, right, and they're fine, right. But does that mean that that's a model that you should follow? Does that mean that that's something that you should do just because one person may have done it and they're quote unquote okay? No, it shouldn't be a model that you should follow.
I don't think someone is ever quote unquote fine. I think there's always mud puddles behind that person. There's always something behind that person because you can't really. Those situations is not always fine. There's always issues, or there could be issues. There could be compromise. There could be issues when it comes to just just waking love before it's time and having to handle that situation. So it's sometimes we look and we say, okay, like, okay, yeah, that person did it, so I can do it too. No, it's first off, yeah, like you said, that's not the norm. That's not what you should be following. But yet again, there's always things behind. It's almost like when you look at a marriage and you say, I want my marriage to be like that person's marriage. There's a reason why you can't compare marriages. If you want your marriage to be like that person, you have to endure everything those two people went through in their marriage. You can't just take the picture and say, I want this. You got to take everything that comes with it.
Yeah.
And a lot of times those things come with that. There's things that come with that, right? That people don't see. People don't see the sacrifices. People don't see the headache. People don't see the a lot of times things that go on in the background, right? And so, yeah, you don't want your situation to be like that. Ideally, you do want to have a common understanding. If you're in that situation, two people, you like each other, the girl has to have a common understanding, and just wait till it's the right time, right? And I would say also that, Melo, you said having a lot of young people in church. The main thing is not being legalistic and actually explaining things to people. I think sometimes we forget how much explaining things can, and you're always gonna have people that are gonna rebel. People are gonna lash out. They're not gonna want to do what you tell them to do. But if you try to explain things better, a lot of times people will take heed to that instead of you just putting rules on them. No,
Definitely.
you can't do this. No, don't do this. Because a lot of times it's like, you got to understand, for especially our church, like, we have rules like, don't, two people like each other, you don't really see people sitting beside each other in church. You don't see people hanging out, giving hugs and stuff like that. That could be foreign to someone. You know what I mean? You have to explain certain things like that to a new believer, to a young convert. You can't just throw rules, because that person is going to be like, okay, I don't want to listen to you. It's not my conviction. So if it's not my conviction, why do I have to listen to what you have to say? But they don't understand that, okay, you're trying to help them, trying to prevent things from happening. So you have to explain things properly when you have situations like that, and not just throw rules at people. That's how you can handle situations.
I wanted. Go ahead, Colin. Go ahead.
There's something Jason said. I think it's a previous episode. So go back to the previous episode and listen to that. But he says something about waiting, and waiting makes you rotten. And why we're saying don't talk to someone, don't text someone if you're not ready, is it's part of that rotten process. Because if you're not ready, and maybe that person is not for you, and it doesn't end up working out, then there's that awkwardness when you see someone, the person you're talking to, with another person in the future. It's just that rotten and awkwardness, in that moment, at that time, right? And you don't want that, right? So if you're not ready to talk to someone, don't talk to them. That's what we're trying to prevent, because like, I tell you, man, it's like there's always if you do that, feelings, man. It's some once you invest your time in someone, it's something you can't really take back.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
You can't get it back.
It's something you can't.
Yeah.
You already invested some piece of your time in that person.
Yeah.
You're attached in some way.
Yeah.
So that's why we always keep pounding and saying, "Oh, if you're not ready, stay away. If you're not ready, stay away." Because if that person finally gets married to someone else in the future, then you see that person with the person you're talking to before, and then you come to church and you're not shaking hands with that brother because like
it doesn't make sense.
it's just awkward, man. Just prevent it.
You
I
know?
wanna ask a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
When we say not ready, right, and when we say waiting, do we put an age on that?
No.
Because
No.
because this is why I say that, because right now a lot of people who are listening and watching might think, okay, you're speaking towards someone who's young. But let's say someone who's in their mid-20s, early mid-20s, right, who comes and says, I'm not ready. How do you respond to such individual? You respond the same way you would as you're speaking now. Okay, not ready?
Yeah.
Take time. But sometimes when people are not ready, what we'll say is, but what do you mean you're not ready? Well, I'm not ready. So then get ready. What's wrong with it? So how do you find the line between that? That's why I bring up age, because
you know what I mean? There's like a big conversation when it comes to age on when you should get married. A lot of people who've studied believe that not believe, but they have stats that prove that if you get married between ages 25 to 30, you have a better chance of having a successful marriage, right? And anywhere under that, the chances are lower, and above that, the chances are lower. So they say the perfect time for you to get married is between 25 and 30.
Does that apply to a man or woman?
They didn't specify.
Okay.
I didn't know there's research like that out there.
Yeah, there's people that will go into those depths, those details. Now, my thing with marriage, it's not an age thing. Obviously, like if you're 18 years old, you're still in high school, right? You're possibly you started college or started university. You know, your best bet is to finish school, focus on that, lock in on that, finish that, and get a job in your field if you can.
Yeah.
Right. But like when you're a young man, you're trying to make it up, or you're a young woman, you're trying to make it in life. I think your first initial focus should be to set your career, put your career in place, set your financial life in place, right? And once you do that, then okay, if you're mature enough, if you're in a good place mentally, spiritually, physically, then yeah, go ahead and entertain that, right? I don't like the idea that there's a necessarily an age requirement. I think it's more of your maturity level and how you approach life, how you look at life. Because there's some 28-year-olds, some 30-year-olds that are very, very immature and probably will never get married because of how immature and how they look at life. And then there's some 21-year-olds, 22-year-olds that are very, very mature. They have like, it's like they have two heads on their shoulders.
Yeah.
Right? Because they're very mature, they're very wise with their money, they're very just wise with life. They know how to live life. And an individual like that, right? You're not gonna tell them, wait until you're 28, right?
Yep.
They're 22 years old. They're making wise decisions. 23 years old, making wise decisions. You know what, man? Go ahead, live your life, man. Do what you have to do. So I think it really comes with maturity, and a lot of times that is based on your upbringing, right? The way you were brought up, who your influences, who you were around. I think for me, what helped me a lot is that since I was 16 years old, I've been around mature Christians, right? So my whole salvation, my whole I would say growing up period of my life. I think 16 years old is when you really start to grow into who you're going to be.
Yep.
So that
Yeah.
whole period when I'm growing into who I'm gonna be in life, I'm around mature Christians. I'm around mature, like, grown men.
Yeah.
Right, grow, like, telling me, talking to me about life, telling me how life is, and I'm just soaking it in, soaking it in, soaking it in, soaking it in. So when I made the decision to get married, you know, I was 21 years old, right? And yeah, I could have easily said, yo, let me wait until I'm like 24, 25, right? I think that's the, better decision. I could have easily did that, right? But I really felt that, I was at an age where, I was mature enough to make that decision, and I was just confident in that. So I wouldn't really put an age requirement around it. More so maturity.
True.
Yeah, definitely maturity. Cause think about it. You see, why one of the things I said I don't really believe in the pre-courtship process. Cause if you look at it, right, we're not saying youths or one of these. Get back towards the youths or a person that's undeveloped in Christ or anything, right? When a person begins to start entertaining these things in Christ, it takes away from what they could do for God. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because we all understand when lust attaches to the mind, that's all you're thinking about. That's tunnel vision right there. You know, it's either you're thinking about God, money, or some type of woman. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
As a
yeah,
man, when lust attaches to the mind, that's all you're focused on.
Yeah.
You're praying, that's all you're focused on. You're reading, that's all you're focused on. You know what I mean? You want to construct something for God, you want to start a ministry, that's all your mind is focused on. Lust, this girl, how you gonna be when you get married, blah blah blah, rate. But if we do not entertain those things, you know what I mean? If we say, okay, I'm not gonna talk to this girl for such and such a time, and put that aside and say, okay, I'm gonna focus on building a ministry for God. There's something to be enjoyed in our youths, you know, in our singleness while we're single, to do something for God, to get ourselves structured, like you said, in our career, in our finances, everything, in our family structure, you know what I mean, winning souls, you know, doing stuff that as a single man or as a single man that you can't do as a married man, because you know there are restriction, because when you are married, when you're in a relationship, now it's not just you alone, you know, you have to be tending to your wife, you have to be tending to your family, because
Yeah.
that's the greatest ministry right now, serving your family, serving your wife, you know what I mean? While as a single man you're trying to entertain these thoughts, it's like you can't focus on doing what you need to do for God.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Everything starts to breaking down. Everything starts to break down. That's why I say don't entertain it until you're ready, until you're going in for the kill. And as a mature Christian now, like Jason says, it is based on a maturity level, because then you do have those older guys that act like they're kids. You know, I'm not saying, okay, you're seeking out a wife. You know what I mean? You're talking to this girl to feel her out, see where she's at. I'm not saying that we shouldn't do. Obviously, as a man, you should do that. You know, see which one's the best fit for you. You know, go
Yeah.
around, talk to these girls, feel them
Yeah.
out, join a ministry. Feel not to say join a ministry just for that person, but to be involved in ministry where you see a person where you like, you know, see what she's like, see where her highs are, see where her lows are, see how she reacts to certain situations while being in certain positions, see how she reacts under pressure. You're just feeling out the ground, you know, as a guy, you should do that. See who this girl is. I'm saying when you hone in on that one and start, okay, this is the one and this is the one. You know what? This is the thing too. When you prolong those type of relationships and you're pre-courting without actually say, okay, you're my girlfriend now, officiating it. You know, when you're pre-courting, it's like you're in these relationships, and you know what might happen when that happens? A next girl might come.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And you know what? Sorry to cut you off, but that is what frustrates me about pre-courtship. A lot of guys, mostly guys that do this, right? They think it's a game, and they treat it like it's a game.
Yeah.
Maybe that's not their intention, but they treat it like it's a game, right? Where they're talking to someone, and they might be entertaining this person,
Yeah.
right? But then their eyes are shifted at entertaining somebody else.
Exactly.
Yes, yes,
Listen,
yes,
like
yes.
it's not a game. Like you're playing with emotions. You're playing with
Exactly.
with people's feelings, and that really leaves a deep wound in people's lives,
Yeah,
right? It's
yeah.
easy to say, yeah, just get over it, man. It's life. It happens. Yeah, it's easy to say that, right? But you have to take accountability for what you're doing also. And that's one thing I don't like. I don't like, emotions being played with, right? Because I'm thinking about it like this. If I had a daughter, right, and a guy came to me saying, I want to court your daughter. That's another thing, man. That's another thing. If you're gonna court someone, if you're gonna, start talking to someone, it would be nice if you would go to a pastor or obviously like someone like someone
mature.
in
Elder in the
in
church.
authority, like
Yeah.
elder in church, right? Obviously the pastor, and go and say, hey, you know what? I like this person. I want to talk to this person. What do you think?
Yeah.
What is your say on
Exactly.
this? Like common sense. Common sense would be to do that, right? But I hope people
Have
take
common
that,
sense.
have common sense, and would do that rather than just
Yeah.
going up to someone and saying,
Yeah.
"Oh, I like you. I want to start talking."
Exactly.
Like, but back to what I was saying. Like, if I had a daughter, right, I would be very very upset, fuming, if a guy comes to me, says, I want to get to know your daughter. I'm like, yeah, sure, go ahead. And then two twos, right? He's talking to the next girl on the side.
Yeah.
Are you out of your mind?
Exactly.
I will knock you out.
Exactly.
In the name of Jesus, right? Like those are things like you have to learn. Like,
Yeah.
like you can't do. Courtship is not a game. Courtship is not dating. Like, that's the thing. People don't. It's like people don't know what courting is, right? Like courting is when you're courting somebody, you are dating them, right?
the
Forgive me for the
intention.
lack of better words, but you're dating them with the intentions of getting married.
Yeah.
You want to get married to this person. You're serious about this person, so you're getting to know them, right? You can't court 3-4 people, or you can't pre-court 3-4 people, right? It's just insanity and it's stupid,
Exactly.
right? Because there's feelings involved, there's emotions involved, and maybe as a guy you can move on with your life,
Yeah.
right? You can say, you probably be sad for one day, oh, I should have never did that, but you can move on with your life. But that individual that you're hurting, that you're doing that to, right, that sticks with them. And that's what as men, right? And I'm gonna point it to the men, because like we're the leaders, we're the head, right?
Yeah.
And if something is going south, if anything in life is turning bad or rotting away, it's the men that I'm gonna point to first, and then it's the men that should always get looked at to adjust it and to fix it. As a man, you can't do that, man. You cannot use your selfish or cater to your selfish ambition, right? And in the process, hurt people's emotions. You can't do that.
I want to really I want to really go into the numbers, right? Number aspect of this, because I got a lot of young guys asking me these questions often. So I really want to break down the numbers, yeah, for young guys to help them. Because guys asking me, oh, how much do I have to make to be ready to get married? Like, I want to really break down our numbers to help any young man that's listening to this, so they can have an understanding of what they have to make and what they have to be doing before they get before they can enter that process of courtship. So I would say you have to look at the city you're in. Like, how much does it cost to live in the city? Like rent, how much is rent in the city? And you have to look at it in the aspect like, can I provide for my wife and a child, at least one child, if my wife doesn't have to work? Because if you're married, obviously you're having sex and you might have kids, right? And your wife will have to stop working for a while, and everybody's going to depend on your own income.
Yep.
So you have to think about that too, and say, okay, can I provide if my wife is not working? Can I pay the rent? Can I pay the bills? Can I do all that by myself?
Yeah.
Before without my wife income. So you have to think about that. So, okay,
Yeah.
if rent is 1,800, like you said, 1,800, then plus the other expense.
Insurance, car.
Insurance, car, all of that. Yeah.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
you're looking at like $4,000 a month
Groceries,
Groceries.
gas.
Gas.
Savings.
Gas.
savings.
The money,
Yes.
the money that you're gonna be using
Yes.
for investing. Yeah, it's yeah, no, you're right, man. You're right. Could I be honest though? When I got married, I didn't think about none of that. I'll be dead serious with you. Like obviously, you sat down, you had your financial conversation. You talked about, okay, this is how much I make. This is how much we're gonna spend here. Right? But it wasn't a make or break for me, man. Like I seen the numbers, right? And I looked at it. I was like, oh shoot. I'm like, oh shoot, wow, that's what it's gonna look like. All right, but that didn't break my decision. That didn't make me say, you know what, maybe I should hold off. And obviously, in the process, what happened is that God just really came through, and God was faithful to me and my wife. And that's the thing, man. I think also what we have to what we should talk about too is that God does honor the decision
Of marriage, yeah.
of marriage.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and if we're going to do that, because God loves marriage, right?
Yeah,
God
yeah.
loves seeing a man and a woman together, right? Trying to make it work in life and serving Him in the process. God loves that. So, right, God's blessing will be upon your life. Now, what I agree with what you said 100%, because it's important to plan. It's
Yeah.
important to know, right, beforehand. Okay, this is what we're getting ourselves into.
Yes.
Right,
Yeah.
I knew what I was getting myself into, right? So I was ready to work hard. I was ready to make it work.
Yes. Yes.
Right, I was ready to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning if I have to. I was ready to do a full-time job, a part-time job. I've never had to do that, by the way, but I'm just saying, I was ready to do that to make it work. So it's important that you know what you're getting into.
Yeah.
Very, very, very important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have an idea of what you're getting into, because money is a big issue in marriage. Like
Yes,
50
that's probably the biggest
like
issue. in
50% of the divorce. Is it 90%?
No, 50.
It's a
50.
50% of the
yeah.
divorce is because of money.
Yeah.
That's a big chunk.
If not, is it just 50?
It's 50, and 30 is like sex, and the other ways 20 is communication or something like that. Or maybe 20 is communication.
20 communication.
Yeah, you know these numbers, huh?
Bro, they're there.
People get
You will
divorced
know
because
when
of
you-
communication.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lack of communication.
Just communication.
The big three,
lack
fam.
of.
Money, sex, communication.
But communicate. That's so easy to fix. Why get
It's not,
divorced?
it's not that easy though. So-
It should be
To
easy
fix communication.
Because it's all.
I feel like that's a cap, bro. It's not just communication, bro. It's probably there's probably something else in
Something
there.
else,
going on.
Yeah.
something else going
Yeah.
on.
Just communication.
They're not communicating
we're-
about the other two. They're
we're-
not
we're di-
communicating sexually. They're not communicating in their finance.
Right. So they're
Yeah.
using someone else to communicate with.
Yeah.
Maybe, who knows?
There we go. There
Who
we go.
knows?
That's it.
If you were kind of watching over a young convert, right, and who was excited, you got married at 21, right?
Yeah.
So imagine a young guy that you're talking to, right, trying to help grow him in the faith, and he's trying to, he pursues this lady. He says, I want to get married, right? But you knew, okay, this guy's probably not. He's not ready there. He's not there yet. He's not ready. How do you tell him? How do you communicate that to him? Let him know, hey, maybe you should just wait some time.
I think if you're like close with that person, and if that person values your opinion and values what you have to say, whatever you say to them and however you say it, they will receive it. I mean, I had people in my life that, regardless of what they say to me, I'm listening. I'm listening. Obviously, if it's
Right, yeah.
if you're telling me to sin, I'm not listening to that. But if it's sound, right, they're telling me about myself, telling me, yo, you need to do this, yo, bro, you're not thinking right in this area. I'm listening because there's obviously they've looked after me spiritually. They've done this for me. So if I understand that if they say something, it's not coming out of a bad place. I know if they're saying it because they want to see me do well in life, right? So if you see someone, right, that you're close to, a young convert, and they're going through this mind hassle with thinking of, yo, I wanna talk to this girl, and it's draining them, and you're looking at them like, yo, nah, this guy's not ready. Just talk to them straight up. Tell them, hey, man, this is what I feel, and I don't think you're ready for that. And if they have a humble heart, right?
Yeah.
If they're down to earth, if they're
Sometimes, like, I remember a pastor one time came, I think we had a revival at church, and the pastor was saying, it's almost like every single brother knows this scripture. And it's 1 Corinthians chapter 7, I think it's verse 9. But if they can't control themselves, they should go ahead and marry. It's better to marry than burn it with lust. Right? And a lot of times people kind of, no, it's like, yeah, you want to get married, want to get married, but there's a lust issue there. You have to handle that lust issue. So that's another thing that you have to be mindful of when you're in that process and you're trying to, you want to court. Is ask yourself, okay, why do you even want to get married? What do you think marriage is about? What is your design for? What's your, not design, but what's your thinking about, like, what
vision.
It's your vision, exactly.
Yeah,
What's your vision? What do you want to use your marriage for, if you have a reason, for marriage, right? And those are good questions to ask, and, reading books and having people around your corner to kind of guide you and ask you those type of questions are very, very, very vital. So,
It's more than just idolizing titles. I remember Collins was saying, if any girl has you like starstruck, there's something wrong.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. What did you mean by that? Like, if like, I remember we were talking about it last week, and he's like, "Yo, any girl that has a guy, he can't let go of her. He's buying her birthday gifts. He's just doing the most. He's just showing out for this girl. He's just like, wow, I want this girl now, but he has nothing structured ready. It's just any girl that has you that way, something.
Yeah, because
It's not wrong to make a girl feel that, but then when there's that extra, when you're not ready as a man, when there's no humbleness, it's just like there's something else going on.
yeah, Why I said that because when I used to be in the world, I used to be like extra attached sometimes, and it was a problem. She's taking away from my primary focus at that moment, and that's not healthy. You know what I mean? So I should be able to bring that woman along to in my primary focus. Sometimes I want her, but I'm not ready. I don't have things in place. I don't have my own my own things in place, my finances in place, everything in place I need to have structured in place. I don't have a job. I don't have a car. I don't have my own place. Right? You know what I mean? And it's just like I'm just holding on to her because I don't want someone else to take her from me. That means that she doesn't belong to me then in the first place. 'Cause if she belongs to you, then you finish all the things you're doing, then she'll be there. And if she's gone, then she's not yours in the first place. That's what I remember when I said that.
That's good.
Yeah,
That's good.
that's good.
I have a question. Not really. It's not like really a question for me. Right? Because we understand how we have the same mind when it comes to this topic here. Right? But I do have a question. So we talked about an individual or individuals pre-recording or talking to somebody and not and giving so much of their time, and we're trying to tell them don't do that. Obviously don't give your life to an individual and you're not ready and stuff like that, right? Okay, I get that, totally understand that. Now what would you say for an individual who is let me word this properly. What would you say to an individual who likes somebody, right? But they don't know how to go about talking to that person or approaching that person. Because right now we're telling guys, right? If you're not ready, don't talk. Don't do this. Don't do that. Don't do that. Right. So how should the guy go about, talking to that person in starting or start building at least a relationship, like a friendship? Like how should they go about doing that? Because you're gonna need a friendship. You're gonna need a relationship with that person before, right? You go and ask them, hey, you know what, I want to get to know
Yeah.
you more and stuff like that, right? So how should they approach that? What would be your
Well,
advice?
I feel like, I feel like you kind of answered your own question. I mean, you know, you said friendships.
did?
I was
Oh,
friendships. I was leaning towards that in the sense like
right.
you can't just go up to someone and be like, "Hey, I like you. You want to court?" You know,
Yeah.
you can't do
Yeah.
stuff like that. That's weird. You know what I mean? So yeah, you build a friendship, right? Obviously, if you guys never spoke before,
Yeah.
then it's gonna be a lot different. We're in church. We all have similar friends, similar friend group.
Sorry to
right?
cut
We
you
go
off
to the
there,
same
T.
fellowships.
Sorry, I'm gonna come back to you, right? Coming right back to you. So that's what I was kind of alluding to, like, so obviously, like you said, it's gonna be through building friendship. But how do you build a friendship with somebody, right? That, let's say you like them, right? You build a friendship with them, and like, how would you build that friendship and not come across like
Yeah.
awkward and
So-
weird? Because you like them, right? So what are you doing?
Yeah, I
You just,
think
you just say hi. Start with hi, hello, break the ice, do something.
I think a safe zone. You gotta look at safe zones. Okay, safe zone is as you're watching the girl in church, you're assessing her and you're watching how she is. You're looking at her character.
Yeah.
Right. If everything from what you see, I guess it appeals to you. You want to actually dive deeper, try to know the girl. I always say a safe zone is to talk to the girl's friends as well. Right. Try to get to know the girl's friends. Right, and talk in circles, right? Because sometimes some guys are shy. They don't want to go up to the girl, talk to the girl. You know, hey, what's up? So you talk to the girl's friends, right? Maybe you're close to one of her friends. You can talk to her, you can gauge, and then maybe you guys are talking in circles, whatever. You go to the same fellowship. You try to don't be a stalker, but you know what I mean. You're trying to go. You're trying to go places where maybe it's neutral ground. You can get to understand the girl, talk to the girl. And then when you feel more comfortable around the girl, then you're going to be bold enough to go and talk to her on your own. Yeah. Because to be bold enough, sometimes the guys are not bold enough to go off the bat, right? So they have to kind of work themselves into that situation where they're probably in neutral ground. When you're around a girl for a certain amount of time and you get a feel of the relationship, get a feel of the girl, it's going to give you more confidence to be like, you know what, I can have a one-on-one conversation with her now. Maybe I can go and say, hey, what's up? What are you doing? Oh, you're going here, you're going there? Oh, okay. After service, between maybe there's a fellowship going on. People are gathering together. It's easier that way. And then from there, you build from there. You build from there. I think that's the starting point, though.
What I think that has worked 99% of the time is go to her married friends. Okay, go to her married friends and tell the married friends, okay, I think I like your friend. Set up a fellowship. Have them set up a fellowship where you guys go and play games, where you guys go on dinners. That has always worked in every situation. More courtship.
We're putting
Me and my wife
on game right now.
Me and my wife are same. We're married because people done that. Anytime I wanted to, like before, I even courted my wife, right? I was interested in her, and her friends, the friends knew I liked her. I went to her married friends. I made them pay for a birthday party. I didn't give them much. They're like, oh, don't give us much. Give us like $50, $100. We'll just use it to make food, and just invite her over to the house, and that's what happened. And they just maybe they talk about you while you're there, cause girls talk. Girls are not sitting around talking about basketball like us. Girls are not sitting around talking about guys or Jesus. Christian girls. Yeah. That's what they think about. They sit around and talk about guys or Christian or Christ. So have them talk. Just go to them. Just be bold. Talk to her married friends. Go to her married friends. Go to a mature married couple. Yeah. Invite them. Tell them to invite her over. Come. There's gonna be a fellowship. There's gonna be a games night. There's gonna be movie night. Something where you guys are involved talking. You know what I mean? And just involve there. Go to your pastor. Say, yo, pastor, put her in my Bible study.
Put him on some.
That's work.
Put him on some
That's
game
work.
right now.
That's work. That's work.
Game. That's good. But you know what? This look, man. I mean, I know we're talking about relationships a lot, and This is probably like fourth episode talking
It's a
about
season, bro. There's gonna be
relationships.
4 weddings this year.
But the reason
Don't listen to me.
the reason for it is very, very simple. It's what each and every single human being attains to have. Each and every single human being wants to have a spouse. They want to have a partner. They want to have somebody that they can call their other half, right? So we want people to be well aware and well prepared and know how to approach the situation. And if you're not ready, don't entertain, because that can ruin your future prospects, or or just ruin your future in general, man. You don't want to make a boneheaded decision because of youthful lust, right?
Yeah.
And obviously, if you're an individual that is looking, to talk to an individual, and you're holding out because of fear or whatever it is, you need to learn how to jump in to the water full feet, right? I mean, there's and really and truly what we're trying to do from this episode is to just bring clarity in that area, because I know there's some people that might be fine, some people that might be okay with it, but then there's some people, right, like there's their mind is very cloudy, right, when we talk about the topic of courtship, when we talk about the topic of lust and all of that stuff. But very good episode, man. Very good, very good talk.
Yeah, man. I'll say this: be careful, cause if you birth something out of lust, you're talking to this girl out of lust, the fall is imminent. And one thing that's gonna happen, your reputation is probably gonna be ruined.
Yeah.
Cause you're gonna talk to this girl, something probably may happen, may not happen. You get too close, you don't get too close. Then, because the fall has happened, you move on to a next one. Move on to a next one. Move on to a next one. Before you know, you have a bad reputation. You know what I mean?
And I remember
it's
we
very
were talking
hard.
about that in the episode.
Yeah, we spoke about that
Yeah.
before. We spoke about that before, man. So be careful.
Yeah.
Don't jump into something that you're not ready for.
I think this is a good landing spot for today.
Definitely a good landing spot.
So, as we always say, we're signing out. It's the Genesis Podcast. It's your boy Desi.
Yo, before we sign out, I'm sorry, Desi. I'm sorry.
You have to say something. I know.
I have to, man. I have to. Yo, if anybody, if any guy, needs any advice, they're trying to do something, they want to talk to anybody, right? You come to the Genesis Podcast. You come sit right here with us.
Yeah. That's a good advice. Yeah.
Love to have you on the episode.
I like that.
We'd love to pick your mind and just really use that to help us and help other people listening. So just come, man. If whoever it is, just shoot us a text message. Comment on our page, and we'll set it up. But like Desi was saying, we're signing out. It's your boy Jason.
It's your boy Colin.
Mello.
Desi here. We're signing out.
Yeah.
We out.